like to acknowledge, before I start, we are on Blackfoot lands.
We are here, living, growing, learning, prospering on Treaty 7 territory, which is the land of the Siksika, the Kainai, Piikani, Stoney Nakoda, and the Métis Region 3. Bren, did I forget anyone? Tsuut'ina.
Because people think this is a race war, white versus black. It's really not. It's not. It's racist versus everybody.
Do I see a difference in the Black Lives Matter and Indigenous Lives Matter movement? I see distinct differences. Like, this is not the Oppression Olympics, but we need to talk about the oppression that's happened in both of those areas. And I think when we look at Indigenous lives in Canada, the situation and the statistics are actually higher than African Americans. And I'm not saying this to compare, I'm just saying there's definite parallels, there's definite similarities, and the oppression goes back to day one. We have to go back and we have to talk about history to understand the present. We can't understand where we are today unless we look at the past and where we've been. And so there's similarities, there's parallels, and I definitely, as an Indigenous woman in Canada, stand in solidarity with Black Lives Matter movement, and they with us.
You look at me and you see yourself in me.
And we all breathe the same air. Now, I've been hearing a lot that a lot of these issues are foreign. We don't see them here. Our reality is different here.
Is it okay to be me today as an Indigenous woman in Canada? Usually the answer is no. And so lots of times it's sad because I don't want to deal with it because it's exhausting.
Mm-hmm. It is exhausting. It is.
I've experienced racism consistently in many ways by white people for being Indigenous and Black, and I've also experienced racism by the colonial systems we live in today. The colonial systems that I'm talking about are the healthcare systems, the justice systems, our government systems, and the post-secondary institutions that we use in order to educate ourselves.
We have to talk about child welfare, and we have to talk about structures that are out there that look at some of the non-related things that would influence a child and a parenting. Those are poverty, structural issues. We can't look at a family and judge their worthiness to parent by things that have been set up in a system that almost create a opportunity and a reason for Indigenous or people of color to fail. And so we have to look at the structural systems. And I think it goes back to that, and it goes onto the responsibility that each of us should feel that is ours to educate ourselves around those processes and those structural systems. Poverty, when we look at residential school, why might people not want to, as Indigenous people, engage in educative systems even now? Notice that people of color often have a difficult time in having validity, of having a voice, of feeling safe in spaces that really weren't set up for us.
The system is not made for us. We are constantly up against it.
But also growing up Blackfoot, I've experienced the life of being a person of color, and what I've had to face, what I've had to live.
We live in what's called a liminal space, or spaces that are outside of the ordinary as Indigenous people in urban settings, in structures, in systems.
When I was in elementary school, I remember the teacher. There was 2 First Nations students, and I was always the First Nations student in all the schools that I went to, so I was the only Indigenous person. And she really picked on myself and the other Indigenous a child. And so we both went back to our parents, and both the dads went into school with ourselves to meet with Mrs. Childs. And I remember her saying, well, they're just Indians. They're not going to amount to anything. They're not going to, they're not going to amount to anything. And so that still rings in my ear. I'm 54 years old. So once I was able to, go out and do my education, do my career, I strive more than everyone else because I don't want to be looked at as an Indian that won't make it anywhere. I work harder than everyone else because I don't want them to think that I'm the token Indian. I also, the minute I walk out the door, I have to be perfect.
It's exhausting.
It is.
It is exhausting.
It is. I'm going to use this perfect example. I was sick this one day and I really needed ginger ale because I wasn't feeling well. So I just kind of ran out and I had my pajamas on and a hoodie and ran to Walmart, and the person was following me. But if I went in my normal way that I dress up and always present myself, I wouldn't have been followed.
The stereotypes, I think, are really pervasive.
Mm-hmm.
Indigenous and Black lives are still being policed, and it's common. And it does get exhausting trying to prove yourself in a society that is judging you based on how you're dressed or how you look or how brown-ish or dark-skinned you are.
When they come to unearth the mystery of how we flew too close to the sun and survive, with gleaming lantern hearts cut from the same material that made the walls of Jericho crumble to its knees, don't be surprised at their gnashing teeth grappling at your coat. The standard of likes won't keep you afloat. These fingers around your throat isn't from affection. When they come to excavate the black gold kissed upon your skin, exhume old tales that don't include the ones of your grandmother. When they try you, softly remind them that this is not you asking for permission. This is not you stumbling on words that don't pronounce anything other than deity. This noose be no necklace, be no fashion statement, no more than a bulletproof vest is. Tonight we all be Luke Cage, uncaged and uncensored, harmoniously conscious. Ancestors banging on doors like, wake up son, we done ran for this. Our sweat be more like a Mississippi River trying to find its way out from a place so fastidious to paint the soil red in the name of freedom acts that don't include all its citizens. We learn to run and they will call it a sport, call it a touchdown when there's less of us. So we learn to fly until gravity's check stop be a breeding ground for target practice, the enemy of progress. Our winds come in inches, but the race is long. Our weary soul have seen more rain than clouds can hold, but still we shine. When they come to exile your voice for being too loud and press, unearthing how evil is always disguised as something pretty and dumb be the best excuse to save the ignorant. Talk a little louder. Your words are silent samurai with sharp edges. You have spent too much time shrinking into something trivial, refuging in small corners in crowded room, minutes away from a disappearing act, when in fact it is impossible for you to conceal your greatness that is interlaced in the essence of your being, untapped and undiscovered. Greatness is here to collect. Let it wake you up with the force of 1,000 turntable, all in one accord with the same beat, silencing sinister spectators that said otherwise. Your demeanor demands the attention. The future is looking at you, begging you to untie the veil of mystery and reveal your next move. History has already cried its last tears. They all be waiting for you to exhale something worth all the roses. When they come to excavate the black gold kissed upon your skin, exhume a history that doesn't beat the heart of our grandfather, the spine of our grandmothers. A diluted truth be a sunken place. When they try you, softly remind them that this is not you asking for permission. This is not you wallowing in the fickle things of yesterday's manner. This is you seated at the table. And if they want, if they so choose, well, they can pull up a seat too.
And I think the more awakened that we become around critical race theory and histories in Canada and the US, the better we'll make it for each other, and to lock arms and link arms and say we're allies and we support each other in solidarity. And the more that people of color or white people understand that piece, the more powerful that we become as a country. Because if one group or one area is doing good in this country, then don't we all do better? Don't we all benefit and gain and help each other flourish? We have to get rid of the patriarchal and the hierarchy and the hegemonic views that say, you know, if I share part of my pie, there's going to be less for me. No, it's everyone benefits and everybody flourishes, and we have to start doing that, because oppression and privilege and recognizing those pieces is really about humility. I think that's part of the missing piece when we don't understand who we are and who we want to be as a human being. And certainly me, I do want to be an ally and a promoter and a supporter and an encourager. Isn't that what we all want?
Floor action! All right? How are we gonna change this? That is about tomorrow, the next day. It is all your interactions with loved ones, with people you don't know. It is calling people in and educating people. It is being a part of the change. You are not something that is outside of this. We are this.
I love people, you know what I'm saying? It's beautiful to see people of different ethnic backgrounds all coming here in solidarity, because clearly love is the underlying factor for us being here today. You might be standing next to someone who, like, look beside you. It might be someone else you never know, like you've never seen before, right? But we all here, make the connection, because we all here in love.